Ubisoft just released the mid-season patch notes for Year 7 Season 3, so I figured I'd make a video talking about it. There's some changes in here that could change up the meta significantly, so let's go ahead and get into it. First things first, Ubisoft released the win deltas of all operators since Year 7 Season 2. The most notable differences between Year 7 Season 2 and Year 7 Season 3 are that Ashe and Zophia's pick rates have gone up massively since last season. The recoil update from this season made the recoil of the R4C and M762 much easier to control. Before this update, they had kind of started to fall off because of their recoil being so bad, so I'm happy to see them back up where they used to be on the win delta chart. Also, by no surprise, Finka has dropped significantly from being the best operator in the game to now being somewhat middle of the road. Nook has also seen an influx in pick rate and win rate, which I find quite interesting. Now, whether this means that Nook is going to become meta, we'll have to see over time. But the final operator I'll mention on attack is Maverick, who has seen a massive decline in both pick rate and win rate. I think this has a lot to do with the decision to take his frag grenades away, and with the fact that his recoil got worse during this season, which I don't understand why they decided to nerf him when he was exactly in the middle of the win delta chart, but it's Ubisoft we're talking about here, so I'm not surprised. On the defender side of things, the most notable differences are that Jaeger's pick rate went up about 10%. The only reason I can think for this is that he got angled grip this season, which I can't think warrants this much of an increase, but the stats speak for themselves. In other news, Alibi's pick rate has significantly increased. I don't think anyone is surprised by this. You see an Alibi almost every round at this point. Also, Tachanka had a massive drop in win rate. I think this comes down to the VSN having significantly harder recoil after the start of the season. So to be honest, I'm not that surprised by this drop. Frost also saw a huge increase in both win rate and pick rate, which makes sense. She has her 1.5 back, a solid gun, and a deployable shield, which seems to be whatever a good defender is required to have these days. Operators like Alibi, Ella, Thorn are all starting to become somewhat meta, so I'm not surprised that Frost has climbed significantly as well. As for the changes this season, Dokkaebi got a huge buff. Her logic bombs will now affect dead defenders, meaning that dead defenders will not be able to view cams for the entire duration of the call. This is a huge change for her because now not only will she have EMP impacts, but her gadget is going to be strong as well. I can definitely see this change pushing her to becoming meta. Rook is also getting a massive change. Everyone who has his armor on will now be able to withstand. This is borderline overpowered for obvious reasons. Your entire team being able to pick themselves up is extremely strong. I really hope this change doesn't go through. If it does, I can see Rook being a problem. Me personally, I don't think any operator should have the ability to revive themselves because it makes gunfights too inconsistent. Anyways, to move back on topic, the other GIGN defender, Doc, has also got a pretty sizable buff. His stims will now heal for a total of 200 HP. This is a pretty big deal for Doc. Throughout Siege's history, Doc has always been underpowered. Hopefully him being able to heal 3 defenders or himself 3 times, and him receiving the Bailiff will make him a respectable choice in comp. Castle, on the other hand, got a pretty useless change. They gave him the Musoc as a secondary option. In Ubisoft's defense, I don't think he needs any changes. Castle is extremely strong right now, so I don't even think he needed the extra secondary in the first place. But Callie got a needed buff to her sniper. The damage was increased from 127 to 135. Hopefully this can decrease those times that you don't down with her sniper. TCSG also got a decent buff to its ammo. It now has 127 ammo in its reserves instead of 71. This will make the TCSG way better at making head holes. That was my main issue with the gun. You couldn't ever make head holes with it without blowing through your reserves. Now, to balance out the huge buff to Doc, Ubisoft nerfed the maximum overheal to 20 from 40, which I think is a fair change. Now, my favorite change in the entirety of the patch notes is the recoil change. They are increasing the recoil bonus given by attachments by 20%. Basically, this means that Flash Hider and Compensator will be 20% more effective at controlling recoil. If you watch my previous videos on this season, you know I dislike the recoil change, so hopefully this will make guns feel a lot better. That's pretty much everything in the patch notes. This is definitely a smaller mid-season than what I wanted, or that I expected. However, the changes that are in these patch notes are pretty huge. The Rook and Doc changes being the ones that stand out to me the most. I'm interested to see how these changes play out, and I can't wait to get my hands on them. Let me know how you guys feel about the patch notes. What changes did you like? What changes are you against? Also, if you enjoyed this video, it would mean a lot if you can consider subscribing. Currently, only 1% of you are subbed, and your sub will make a difference in this number. If I haven't earned your sub yet, you could go and check out this video, and hopefully it will change your mind. Anyways, see you next time, friends, and peace.